Infertility is a symptom of something going on. It's not necessarily the problem itself. I'm Catherine Needham. I'm a clinical pharmacist and I'm board certified in functional medicine. I specialize in women's health and particularly fertility. One of the biggest reasons we across America see women not getting pregnant when they want to get pregnant is they are not ovulating. And that means they're either not ovulating at a predictable point in their cycle so that they could easily time intercourse to achieve pregnancy, or they don't ovulate at all, even if they have periods every, say, 28 days. They have regular cycles, but maybe they don't ovulate and don't know that for themselves. The most common reasons for not ovulating, which is called anovulation, you're not ovulating, one of the biggest causes is called PCOS, or Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome, which for a lot of women has a component of some blood sugar dysregulation. It has a component of insulin resistance, meaning their body doesn't handle blood sugar and insulin the way that it should. And that affects their body's ability to produce an egg at a regular point in each menstrual cycle. Another very common cause is stress. The parts of the brain that tell the ovary to make an egg are very easily affected by stress. And one of the easiest things for the body to eliminate is fertility when it senses stress, because the body's like, hey, we can't get pregnant right now. It is not the time. We are too stressed. And the parts of the brain that control your fertility to some degree that are impacted by stress don't know if the stress is traffic on the interstate or emotional stress or an actual sickness. So all of those combined affect your fertility because stress stops fertility in so many women. And of course, everybody hears about like stress reduction techniques and that we all need to limit our stress, but its impact on fertility cannot be understated. The other main reasons for not ovulating has to do with a couple hormones that can impact fertility in several ways, but principally they stop ovulation, and those have to do with a hormone made in the thyroid and then hormones made in the brain, for example, prolactin. So if you have abnormal thyroid function, or if you have something called prolactin that's being made in too high amounts, those can impact your ability to ovulate. No ovulation, no pregnancy. Some examples of how I work to improve your overall health to therefore improve your fertility. If you have PCOS and we find that you do have some amount of blood sugar dysregulation, I might use something like inositol or chromium to overall improve your blood sugar management, and that typically helps the body ovulate on its own. If we find that it's related to your thyroid, of course, we then treat your thyroid abnormality. If it does have to do with stress, we look at what your stressors are and see how we can improve them. For example, long distance running, high intensity training can often negatively impact your fertility. So we look at how to best improve that for you. So the underlying cause determines what we do to support you. One of the other most common reasons I see for infertility has to do with not ovulation itself, but the part of the cycle between ovulation and the next period. That is called the post-peak phase or the luteal phase. And that part needs to be at least 12 days to allow for the egg to make its way out of the ovary, down the fallopian tube, into the uterus to implant into the inner layer of the uterus before that layer is shed with the next period. That magic number is 12 days. So when we look at your cycle chart, we need to see 12 days at least between your peak day, the day that you ovulate, and your next period. That on average is 14 days, but we need it to be at least 12 days to allow for the egg to make that journey and implant. If your luteal phase is shorter than 12 days, the egg might have time to make it to the uterus, for example, and get fertilized, but if it implants, it's going to be shed with the period if the period comes, say, 12 days after ovulation. So if you do find that your post-peak or luteal phase is shorter than 12 days, what we can do is there's a couple supplements we can use to boost your progesterone production or give progesterone itself to improve the amount of progesterone that is present in the body to allow for more days between ovulation and your next period. One of the other reasons I see women not conceiving when they think they should be getting pregnant based on everything else has something to do with the structure itself of the organs in the body. What can happen is there could be something like endometriosis or a fibroid, something like that is impacting the structure of, say, the ovary or the tubes or the uterus itself. that impairs the fertility. If there's something pressing on the fallopian tube, it can pinch it essentially to the point that an egg can't get through or sperm can't get through from the other side. So even though they're making wonderful eggs, it can never meet a sperm or make it all the way to the uterus to implant. Likewise, if there's something structural inside the uterus that is affecting an egg's ability to implant, those are reasons that have to do less with the hormones surrounding fertility and more with the structure of the organs themselves. The last reason I see women struggling with infertility is either the number of eggs they have or the quality of those eggs. We typically associate lower egg quality within women who are going through menopause, but the phase of life before menopause, called perimenopause, can start 10 to 15 years before menopause, which means women in their late 20s and early 30s can have lower egg quality than they might think they should. They might have lower egg qualities than another 30-year-old, for example. We look at how we can improve the quality of their eggs, which then improves their overall fertility picture. The last reason, which is as common as every other factor combined, has to do with the male partner. That's how common male factor infertility is. It is absolutely every bit as possible that the male partner is contributing to the infertility of the couple as it is for the female partner. We often assume that infertility for a couple has to do with the female, but it is every bit as likely to be a result of the male. So if we find that through a semen analysis that there is something impacting the male's fertility, whether it's the shape of the sperm or there aren't as many cells as there should be, or again, they can actually have structural issues pressing on their tubes. So if we find that there's something impacting the health of the sperm, we can use a combination of antioxidants to improve sperm health. You have the healthiest sperm, meaning the healthiest eggs, so that on any given cycle, you have the best chance possible to conceive. If you want to know more about which of these factors is affecting your ability to get pregnant, there's a link in the description to work with me one-on-one, and it will have more videos for you to know your cycle and know yourself better.